So in this lesson, we're going to build a little xylophone app that has on each tap you have a cool little sound effect going on, and you could probably like faintly hear it, but each time you tap, it has a little noise. Okay, so let's start. Let's do motion create. And let's call this xylophone sound. Okay, so let's cd into that. Okay, and I'm going to create a new thing and say go into this xylophone sound. Awesome. Okay, let's do a rate test to make sure everything is working as it should. And while this is doing that, we're going to be using a framework called great, everything worked. This rate task worked fine, so in the good. Okay, so now we are going to be using a framework to help us pull in this audio. So that is going to be called Audio Toolbox. It's something used quite a lot. So go to your rake file and type in framework, and you see this is how to add a new framework. Let's do that. AUD Audio Toolbox. Okay, and this allows us to use some system sounds. Okay, let's go into our app folder, create a new folder called controllers. Okay, create a folder or create a file inside of our app controllers called root controller or root view controller. Oops, controller. There it goes. A little bit interesting to talk and type at the same time. Okay, and we're going to tell our app delegate to look for this root view controller which we just created, and we're going to do root view controller. It inherits from UI view controller. Alright, and we're going to do a little basic view.did.load method just to make sure everything is working correctly. Let's say, hey, I am in the controller. And okay, so we should run, when we run this new rake task, we should see, hey, I am in the controller on the console. And if we don't, we did something wrong. Great. We see, hey, I'm in the controller, so everything is set up properly. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to add a button. Since the app that we're going to make has a ton of buttons, we are going to make a button, and then once you tap on that button, we'll console.log, or we'll console log the ID or tag, the sender tag. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we'll give the button a name. What is a good name for this button? Let's say note button 1. Okay, and we'll say UI button UI button dot button with type, and we'll say UI button type rounded rec. Okay, and we'll give this button some dimensions. So where do we want it to be at on the page? And we'll kind of make it sort of in the middle. So let's say CG rect make, and we'll say about 2304, 335, and 84. That's somewhat in the middle. We'll give it a tag because that's the whole point. Equals 1. We'll give it a background color. We'll just say background color equals UI color dot red color. And what else do we need? I guess we just need the action now. Awesome. So this is the cool part. Note button 1 dot add target, and we'll give it pass in itself. We'll say the action is going to be play sound. Oops, we need to put this in quotes. And also we need a colon because it's going to have some parameters. We're going to pass this tag number in as the parameters, or the we're going to pass the sender in. So we have the play sound as the action, and we're going to add a control event. So for control events, and we're going to say what type of control, and there's several control events. You should look at the docs for UI control events. And the one we're going to use is UI control event touch up inside. Okay, and now let's add this button to the view. So self.view.add subview, and we'll pass in that note button 1. Awesome. So now we're going to define this method that we just, or this action right here, this play sound. Okay, so we're going to say define play sound. It's going to be passed in some parameters. And how about, oops, we'll make it print out the sender tag. So puts sender.tag. Okay, so it's a little bit fast, but what we did, we created a button, we told it where we want it to be at in the frame. We added a tag or an ID to it. We changed the background color. We gave it an action with some params. We added that button to the sub view, and now we're printing out the tag on click. So when we rake, we should see a button, and when we press on that button, it should print out something to our console. Great, I have a button there, and great, it's printing out as you can see. Awesome, so we are getting pretty dang close to what we need to be. So now for sounds. Okay, so I have a folder. Oops. So actually I'm going to open up a folder and I'm going to just drag and drop some sounds into that. I'm going to open up this folder, put this over here, and put that over there. And the sounds are in this one, resources, great. Let's make it a list. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop these sounds into our folder, in our resource folder. It's pretty awesome. Great, and that's all the setup we need to do, all the outside stuff we need to do. And I will post a link to a Google Drive zip file of these notes if you want. All right. So let's make sure these are in there. Great, there they are. All right, so now we have this sound tag. Let's put this into a variable called sound tag. All right. All right, and since our file name is note 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, here we have our number, and we're just going to append that number to a string. So we'll say sound equals, open up a quote, say note, do some string interpolation. So we're going to say sound tag. Okay, and now this will say note and the ID of that button. Right now we only have one button, so it should only be note 1. And now we need to grab that. Now we need to grab the URL for our sound, create the system sound ID, and then play the system sound. And that sounds pretty complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. It's only a few lines of code. So we'll get the sound URL using nsBundle dot main bundle. Oops, bundle dot URL for resource. And then we are going to get the file name, which will be this sound variable. Oops. Oops. Awesome. And then we're going to tell it what extension this has. So with extension WAV. Alright, so now we have the sound URL, and now we have to make a pointer for the sound. And again, if you read the docs on this, we'll talk about this pointer. This is the part that took me a little bit of time to figure it out. But without this pointer, it'll tell you you need a pointer. So, I mean, the awesome Repel debugger is so much better than the low-level debugger in Xcode. Okay, so now we have our pointer. We're going to create the sound using audio services. AU audio service SURV services create system sound ID, and we're going to pass in the URL and the pointer. So my sound URL and then the sound ID. Great, and now we're going to play that sound. AUD audio services VI. Oh, there it goes. Anyways, SERVIC audio services play system sound. And we're going to say sound ID and get that first one. Super. So this should play our sound. Let's test it out. Okay, so let's type in rake again. Awesome. So if you can't hear that, it is definitely ringing. So we are getting pretty darn close to having our full app. Okay. So we have 7 sounds, so we want 7 different buttons. And what we could do is copy this guy right here and paste this in 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if you can tell, this looks horrible, and no one wants you to do that. That looks extremely bad, and it goes against one of the foundational programming concepts called don't repeat yourself. So if you see yourself doing a thing multiple times, you probably need to go ahead and make that a method, which we are going to do right now. So we're going to define a method called make button, and this button is going to have a lot of parameters. So it's going to take the button name. So it's going to take the name. It's going to take the coordinates right here, the x, y, width, and height. So x, y, width, and height. And also it's going to take a color. So let's say button color, and a tag. Awesome. So I think that's all the parameters we need, right? Name, XY, width, height, button color, and a tag. Yep. All right, so let's copy and paste. Oops. Let's copy this and we'll paste it in here. Okay, so let's replace all these with the parameters. Name, name, and we'll say this is going to be, oops, this is going to be X, Y, width, and height. We're going to say this is the name again. Name. We're going to say this is a little bit different. So we're going to have to since this button color is going to be coming in as a string, we're going to do something a little bit different, and it's pretty easy. We're just using the send method. So send this background or this button color. Let's change this to name, and let's change this to name. All right, so our method looks, oops, our tag, boom. All right, so our method is pretty set up, pretty much set up. Okay, so let's delete this jazz. Oops, we need our dimensions still. So let's call this method now. Make button, and we'll give it a name called note button 1. We'll give it the X. How about let's make this the first button. Since it's going to be the first button, let's no longer have it in the middle of the screen. We'll give it a different dimensions than what we have right here. So we're going to make this at the top. So we'll say X is going to be 5, the Y is going to be 28, the width is going to be 365, and it's going to be 84. So now we need the button color, which is going to be red color, and we're going to need a tag, which is going to be 1. Awesome. Let's make one more, and then we'll test, just to make sure everything is working right. Note button 2. And we'll give these the dimensions. We'll put it right under it. 10, 120, 355, and 84. And these numbers I kind of fidgeted with already in Xcode, so you can just copy and paste those numbers. ORANGE. And we'll give this an ID of 2. Alright, so let's actually... Alright, so I'm going to show you where I'm getting these X, Y, width, and height numbers from. So here's Xcode. So I made this same application using Xcode. So what I'm going to do, I'll just type on one of these guys, type on my ruler, and you see 528, 365, 84. And that's the same number, 528, 365, 84. So these aren't just random numbers that I'm picking. I've actually played around with this a little bit and got the dimensions correct. Okay, so let's go back to our code. Let's run a rake task. And what this should do is create 2 buttons. They both should have different sounds, and they should be different colors. All right, awesome. So we have this red one. Awesome, and it works. So now all we have to do is just add in the other buttons, and we're done. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is the easy part. Oops. 2 would be 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. So these numbers are going to be 15, 212, 345, and 84. We're going to send in a new color, like yellow color, and we're going to give this an ID of 3. All right, and we're going to do 20, 304, 335, and 84. And we're going to make this green. Give it an ID of 4. This one's going to be 25, 396, 225, or 325, and again 84. We're going to say this is going to be a blue one. Let's say this one's obviously going to be 30, if you can see the pattern. We're just incrementing down 488. Oops. 488. And we're going to say 315, making it a little bit smaller. Oops, 315. And 84. And this one's going to be purple. ID of 6. Okay. This is going to be 35, 581, 305, 84, and we'll make this black because I can't think of another color. And we'll give this an ID of 7. Awesome. So this should be our complete app. As you can tell, it's not that much code at all, and very, 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 very quick and easy to do. Run a rake task and everything should be working. Awesome. There's our Xylophone app. And everything is working as it should. Awesome. Well, that is it.